following show is a paid program.
Hey family, how you doing today? We have the best of the best, Mr. Sean Shannon, comedian, Emmy Award writer for Saturday Night Live, author, director, and producer. Hey buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you, Cam?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm so excited today. 8 years with Saturday Night Live. How did we get started in comedy?
I started my freshman year in college. I went to University of Houston, and I always wanted to be, I think even by the time I was 15, I knew I wanted to be a comedian. And it was, I saw a Showtime special, and they had all these comedians on it, and the host goes, yeah, this might look easy, but these are the Babe Ruths and the Henry Aarons of comedy. And I was watching at home, and I'm such a cocky kid. I went, hey, I could be Ty Cobb. This is a nice deal. And so, like 16, I had an older brother who loved comedy, and I just became obsessed with it. When I was 18, I started doing it, and I was my first year in college.
Wow, that is good. University of Houston, shout out to them. 8 years with Saturday Night Live. How did we land Saturday? We love Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. I mean, it's the ultimate goal you want, and it was so. And for like the first 3 weeks there, I'm all intimidated and scared. Yeah. I'm this kid from Houston or whatever, and then I meet everybody, and there's a guy from Kentucky, another guy from like Iowa. I'm like, oh, okay. Fine, I can do this. These people weren't born into this job.
Right.
So it's the ultimate job.
How do you get the call for Saturday Night Live? What do they do? How do you get that job?
I sent in packets. So I'd write sketches, and I had sent in, I think, 2 years before.
Right.
And I worked on a show, and then I applied to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and Saturday Night Live. And I didn't hear anything back from Saturday Night Live, but I got the Jay Leno show.
Wow.
And so while I was at Leno, I would write sketches for Saturday Night Live. And I mean, I would just practice writing sketches. And so when I left Leno, I submitted to Saturday Night Live, and I got it. So it was a big deal. I got a call. I was at the gym, and my wife called me at the gym and goes, yeah, this is Saturday Night Live called. And so this was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I flew out that night at 11 on the red eye, landed, and then I had an interview the next day, and they liked me. I didn't do anything too weird where said, this guy, don't bring this guy in. I was calm enough, and it worked out. It was really cool. It was amazing.
Well, look, let me tell you something. Before we jump to Saturday Night Live, one of the viewers said, wait a minute, did he say Jay Leno? Forget Saturday Night Live. How did you land the job at Jay Leno?
Well, then, no, but I had jobs before that. My first job, I started writing in 91.
Yes.
And that's just when Comedy Central had started and cable was blowing up. So there were a lot of opportunities.
Right.
And I got on this show called Comics Only with Paul Provenza was a host. And it was just a really good gig. And everyone there who was writing on it were really established writers. And they were all in the Writers Guild. And this show wasn't a Writers Guild show, so I wasn't in the guild yet. and they would get offered shows, and they couldn't do them because they were non-union shows. So from that one show, I started working for MTV on a gig. I would work on all these little shows, and then eventually I got in Living Color. That was my first big gig.
Ooh, in Living Color. And
That was
just
fun.
think about all the people from In Living Color now. You know, your Jennifer Lopez. I call him Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. Yeah, no. Fire Marshal Bill. Jamie Foxx. Yeah, no,
Yes.
it was the biggest
Yes.
names. It's stunning. It's stunning how many people. And that was the thing when I started, people would go, so do you hang out with the Fly Girls? Do you ever? They came and filmed on a different day.
Right.
Never. I saw them once in the hallway when we passed, but they
Yeah.
were, because they would film all their stuff on a Wednesday, and then we would do the sketches on Thursday and Friday, and that's when they would bring in an audience. So, yeah, people, that was the first question everyone asked, all my
Yeah.
friends, all my guy friends.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, how about the Fly Girls? Never saw them. I passed them in a
Absolutely.
hallway.
But can you believe just the impact that In Living Color did? You know, from what you did as far as the writing, just In Living Color in itself, and now to look at them today, man.
Well, also, they changed the Super Bowl format.
Right.
Because in the old days, they would have like a marching band from USC at halftime,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was prisoners. And then you had to wait till they finished, and then you could start the football game again. And then In Living Color did a special, hey, we're doing a show during halftime, and we'll put a clock in the corner to tell you when the second half starts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a monster success that they started having to get good people to play the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes.
And that's why you have all these amazing Rolling Stones, Janet Jackson, Bruce
Right.
Springsteen, everybody, because In Living Color forced their hands.
Right.
Because they would still be doing crap if they didn't have to put on good people, they wouldn't.
Right. Can you believe the magnitude of just In Living Color and what it did? What you guys as writers did, just the concept, the movement that you did at the time.
It was stunning. It was prime time, which they didn't do that. They don't do
Right.
sketch comedy prime time. It was, you got to see people of color.
Yes.
You don't see that a lot of,
No,
especially
you don't.
back then you
You're
didn't
right.
see a lot.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, and Living Color was amazing. It was it changed television.
It really did. And the unfortunate part is I don't think the Wayans got their due. I don't think they've gotten it. You know,
I
like the
guess they have.
accolades of the awards and all of these things.
Yeah, and I mean Damon had the most success as an actor comedian.
Yeah.
But no, Keenan changed television.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really hasn't got his props. Now that you
Right.
mention it, yeah,
You
that's
know, like the
true.
awards, you know, that he should have, I felt like he should have gotten for those things, you know?
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Wow, look at that. And looking at just your Jay Leno part and just going forward, you mentioned something pivotal that a lot of people don't know and understand is union. Let's explain that part, the union part.
Okay, so the union saves you. It's they fought like here's the thing, they're still fighting, but when cable TV started, they didn't pay residuals very much if it was
Right.
on cable, because it was the beginning of cable, and then they go, "Hey, we're not making any money. We can't pay the same fees." And then they agreed, and then cable started making money, and then they're still like going, "Hey, we had an agreement. We
Right.
weren't going to get charged for this." And so unions have they look out for you and they
Uh-huh.
protect you.
Mm-hmm.
And the Writers Guild is a good union. Hey, my cat's here. Um, so you join the Writers Guild, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that or want to go into comedy or want to go into writing because over 40 million people are unemployed, as we see. because of
Yeah.
COVID and other things that have happened, but they still have that dream, of maybe doing something that they've always wanted to do and probably purpose to do. What thoughts or what would you give to them? What would you tell them at this point?
Well, I would say with the way you can make videos at home and edit, and it's so much, it's on another level than it was when
Mm-hmm.
I was a boy. When I was a young man, I would you couldn't, you had to borrow someone's camera. I mean, everybody's got it on their phone now. You could film the quality of a phone, the camera on a phone is 10 times better than a good video camera when I in the late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if you want to make comedy, uh, it's easier to do, but it's also more spread out, and you can be discovered, and it's hard to, I don't know how you become a influencer or anything like that, but it's available. Like you can do it from Houston easier than you could when I first started.
Absolutely. Let's do this. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with Mr. Sean Shannon.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages. The Cam Hill Show. If you'd like to advertise your business or become a sponsor, contact the Cam Hill Show at gmail.com.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
This pandemic has impacted the lives of many people living with underlying health conditions, such as asthma and diabetes. That's why avoiding COVID-19 is a top priority, and a vaccine will help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Please keep masking up and practicing social distancing to protect those close to you. And be ready to take your best shot when a vaccine is available. Protect yourself to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Amazing things for you.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month. Both for 39-month lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, thanks so much for coming back, Mr. Sean Shannon. Hey, guy, we have a little bit we're talking about. You have 6 comedy books that you.
I do have 6 comedy books.
Yeah, you have
This
some
is-
on the side.
So I did these. There was an old comedy writer who I could tell you who he wrote for, and you wouldn't even know who he wrote for. That's how old he was. But it was this guy, Jack Douglas, and he was brilliant, and he wrote this book called My Brother Was an Only Child. And it was from 1959, and it just inspired me so much. I found it. I used to go to used bookstores when I would travel doing stand-up. You would have to kill your days. And one of my things I would do, I would go to used bookstores and go in the comedy section and find old comedy books. And I found his, and it inspired me to no end. And it was so brilliant. And like on one of the, he got them, and in the late 50s, early 60s, sometimes when they published books, pages would get stuck together where they would be stuck, and he did it on purpose. And when you pushed it open to look in between the pages, it just said nosy inside the middle of the book. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing I'd ever seen in my life. And it inspired me to write these books, and he gave them out as Christmas gifts. And that's kind of how it started. And I wrote all these books. My first one I have here, it's called Public Displays of Infection. So let me see. Yeah, like
Not
that.
Not affection, but infection.
Infection, yes. And so, and it was just a little like, what do we have here? Oh, here's a good one. And this tells you when it was born. This was it's a TV pilot. It's called Bethlehem 90210. So it's a parody of Jesus in high school.
Right.
And so, plot lines. Homecoming dance, AD 18. Jesus won't change the punch into wine. The gang turns on him and elect Barabbas as homecoming king. So it was all a bunch of religious jokes about teenage Jesus.
I love that.
And
you
I
got
grew up,
another one.
Oh, I've got, okay, here's the last one I did. This was Unreliable Narrator. And there's Wolfman Lincoln up here and different people. Here's another one, Big Business.
Yeah.
It's a guy humping a globe. I don't know if you can see that very well. How am I doing? Like that?
There
like
you
that?
go.
Maybe.
Yeah, we can see
There's
it.
a guy
Yeah.
humping a globe.
There you go.
Here's another one. This is called Cough It Up. And it's a clown on a toilet.
I can't with you.
So that's what those are. And and it's different. I do cartoons in them and different stuff. And this is a way, to, like, it was stuff that didn't work in stand-up and it wasn't a complete sketch.
Yeah.
And so it was just another outlet because I try to be very creative. I paint a lot.
Yeah.
I make music. I do all these different, just for the creative urge. For my own id, I guess. But and that's what these are a manifest of that. These books are just stuff that I've created that didn't fit into my other venues.
Well, I tell you what, you've got a great one. You have a feature film that's out on Amazon Prime, Harold. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so it started, I wish I had the picture with me, but at one of my family reunions, most of my family on my side goes bald. I have all my hair, though, so you can see I still have my hair.
So they want your hair,
Those are plugs. That's my real hair.
That's your hair.
So my brother got my nephew, who was 11, and shaved his head into male pattern baldness. And he looked so funny. And just based on this picture of a 12-year-old kid with male pattern baldness, I came up with this movie idea. And I wrote a script, and Lauren Michaels, who runs Saturday Night Live, loved the script and was trying to get traction for it. And I did a short film for Saturday Night Live called The Adventures of Harold. And it's just about a kid who's 12 who has male pattern baldness. And so from that, the script went around for a long time. It was on this thing called the Blacklist, where it was the best 100 screenplays that haven't been made yet. And it was on that for 2 years. And then luckily, it was Cuba Gooding Jr. found it. And he said, I would be in this movie. And just off getting him as to be one of the stars of the movie, we got the money. It was, and it's amazing. And then, here's the weird part. It's a low budget film. It cost $1 million.
Wow.
That's not low budget to me, but to Hollywood, that is super low budget.
We're in Houston.
Yeah, exactly. That's $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, but I got people from Saturday Night Live to be at Colin Quinn, Chris Parnell, Rachel Dratch, Ali Sheedy was in it. She plays the mom, and the kid who plays Harold is just his name is Spencer Breslin, and his sister is Abigail Breslin. They're a big kid acting family, or were. Now they're on their 20s.
Right.
And he was so brilliant in the film. It was amazing.
Wow.
And
it's on Amazon Prime right now.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a really good film. I saw it for the first time in about 10 years. I hadn't seen it in so long, and we watched it the other night.
Right.
I showed it to my daughter. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she dug it.
She did. She said, "Dad, you wrote that?"
She liked it. Yeah, no, she's jaded. She doesn't. She's not that impressed that Dad did anything. And I've used her and stuff. When she was a baby, I made a thing for HBO called Space Baby, which was a sketch on Funny or Die for HBO, and she was in it as a baby and couldn't talk. So that was just brilliant.
That's too funny. Has she seen herself as a baby in it?
Yeah, she's still too cool for school. She's
okay. Yeah.
She's 13. I forgot. She turned 13.
She's a teenager. She's grown now. She's not 12. She's not a baby. Yeah, she's a grown lady.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about comedy in itself is 10%, but there's a 90% of business. A lot of people lose that part of the business side, and they lose a lot of the income. What would you tell them about the business side of comedy? What thoughts?
Dude, it's so hard, and and the goal line is always moving. It's always changing, and you got to get Instagram followers. You got to get these, and I'm to the point where I had enough credits and stuff that I'm lazy about that stuff. But if you're starting out, that's the heart of it. That's exactly, and so like there's people who've busted through with that. And once someone busts through in a certain way, the business always reacts in a way to mine that, but also to kind of patch that hole up. You know, it's like we'll go back to Keenan. So Keenan Ivory Wayans and Robert Townsend, which I'm sure you know. Robert Townsend, brilliant. He made the film Hollywood Shuffle, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And it was this, and that was his breakthrough, and it was a Keenan breakthrough for both of them. And then once they did that, once they broke through, people started trying to make short films, and Hollywood immediately went over and patched that up, got a couple more people through, and then that was. So it's always evolving. So you always got to be on the cutting edge, and you have to go the route that's been. But you know, innovation they reward.
Absolutely. I remember a long time ago, open mics were real popular, but with COVID, has kind of, that's put it down, not going anywhere. A lot of places have closed up, and maybe they're opening up now. What would you tell, your up and coming comics? What do they need to do now? Because they can't go to that open mic, and they can't go and practice and see others like they should. I guess they have to go on the internet now and kind of,
I mean, well, you can grow that way, and especially with TikTok and all the formats.
Right.
You could study that and figure out how to turn it into what you do.
Right.
And it's always, you got to serve your voice. Yeah. I mean, one of the big things is like you got to work hard, but you develop who you are where people can't steal you.
Right.
They might be able to take a joke or two from you.
Yeah.
But no one can be you better than you.
That's it. That's the key. You're right, T-Sean.
And I would say that's a giant key of your persona, whether mine is just an exaggeration of myself. It's like a little exaggeration of who I am. And to me, that's best work. But if you get a persona, whether it's Rodney Dangerfield, No Respect, or whatever, if you get your character persona, that's a big key I would work on, developing your voice. Always be writing. Always be looking at what's coming up next. Be it TikTok. TikTok exploded. Before that, it was Vines. And Yeah, I mean, it's just I think the internet, especially during COVID. Now we're coming out of COVID,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah,
So I think you can get back. Nothing replaces stage time, though. The
right.
more you get up in front of people, and it's the more you become comfortable, and the more you become you. So I
Abs-
mean, those are the big keys. But definitely with internet and stuff, and then also shorter is always better.
uh-huh.
The
Yeah,
quicker brevity, especially when you're starting.
right.
People aren't going to give you 10 minutes. Give them a
Absolutely.
2 minute, really good video, and then they'll go, what else does this guy have?
Right. Absolutely.
So, I
I
mean,
I
that would
love
be a
the
big thing, I would say.
absolutely. I love the fact that you invest in yourself. You and your brother have a new business that's out. Let's talk about it.
Okay, it's called, I love the name, Greatest Training Ever.
Yeah.
So it's training people about cybersecurity.
Mhm.
And I did one series before, and the first one, I'm obsessed with bears, people in bear suits. I'm obsessed with that. And so we did a thing where it was you didn't want to you don't I don't how do I put this? You don't want to shame people when you're
Right.
teaching people. You don't want to shame. So and people didn't know or don't know, still don't know a lot about computer security.
Right.
So we had the leading one was it would be an office and it's 8 workers and there's one guy dressed in a bear suit, but he's wearing a suit and tie too. And anytime there was a mistake on the computer, it was because of him. It
Uh-huh.
would be like, okay, these passwords are too easy. Whose password is honey? And then you'd see the bear go,
Right.
then okay, well, this is what you need to learn. And so that was the first series. And the second one is like a news. It's like a short news clip, and it would be like, "Happy birthday to Rutherford B. Hayes." And if he was alive today, I bet he would ask, "Why do I have to change my password every 30 days?"
Mhm.
I'm sure he'd have other questions like cars. We have cars. Airplanes can fly. And then eventually he would get to, why do I have to change my password every 30 days? And then they give a couple lists of why you should. And so I'm doing that with him, and it's I live right across the street from my brother. That's why I moved back to Texas, because the house across from him was available, and he goes, "What, are we going to wait till we're 70 to hang out with each other?" And I
Right.
went, "Yeah, that's a good point." So I've been here for 5 years, right across the street, hanging
Wow.
out with my brother, which is
That
wonderful.
that is good. That's good. We didn't talk about you being originally from Pasadena.
Pasadena. Technically, I was born in Pasadena, right at South Houston. Right, I was a stone's throw from Pasadena,
Right.
but but I played little league at this place called OFA, and it was part of the Petrotex petroleum plant. They actually built a little league field inside that bordered up to the
I
petroleum
cannot
plant.
believe that.
Yeah,
That's
I don't.
crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Pasadena, baby.
I love it. I love it. And looking at it, what do you think what have you learned along the way?
I don't know if I have anything profound. Like,
Trust me, you have.
let's narrow it down. What have I learned along the way?
You've learned some from, and let me just put it in this context. What have you learned along the way in getting your jobs from Jay Leno to Saturday Night Live to going into films, from going to, what things have you learned along the way in that aspect?
Okay, here's a big one. An agent can help you.
Yeah.
It can't make it for you. You
Yeah.
still have to hustle. Most of my gigs I got through word of mouth, where like a friend would be working at a show or knew somebody at that show and go, "You should think of this guy." So having a network is a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard, I think, for comedians, because especially stand-ups who are like lone wolves,
Right.
and it's very stand-ups are a very peculiar bunch, and I'm one of them, but very, very I don't know, lone wolves. So, but you got to have a network, and That would be, but like agents aren't going to make your career.
Yeah.
You know, they can help it, but you got to hustle. You got to make stuff happen. They're not going out of their way to, hey, I'm going to really help this guy. No, I've got 40 guys.
Right.
I get 20 of them work. I get a good living, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they want you to succeed, but they're not going to kill themselves
Yeah.
to make it happen for you. So it is self-sufficient. You got to be a hustler. You got to make that stuff happen. And you know what? Another thing, I think if this is what you really love, like people always, well, yeah, but do you really? Is there a great way to make a living? You know what? Any job you go into, there's going to be the same hurdles, the same turds you work with who are keeping you down, no matter what it is, whether you're selling cars or whatever. So you might as well go do something you want to do if it's going to be the same politics everywhere.
Absolutely.
So that would be one thing I would think too. And I'll always be creating, always be writing, always perfect your craft, no matter what it is.
Sounds good. Let's do this. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with the Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages. The Cam Hill Show. If you'd like to advertise your business or become a sponsor, contact the Cam Hill Show at gmail.com.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
This pandemic has impacted the lives of many people living with underlying health conditions, such as asthma and diabetes. That's why avoiding COVID-19 is a top priority, and a vaccine will help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Please keep masking up and practicing social distancing to protect those close to you, and be ready to take your best shot when a vaccine is available. Protect yourself to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Amazing things for you. Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month. Both for 39-month lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, thanks so much for coming back. We're talking to Mr. T. Sean Shannon. Hey, buddy, we were talking about a lot about what you have been learning along the way. A lot of people have asked the question. I was looking at some of the questions, and there's a lot of people that want to know, in writing films, what should they do? How can they get started? There are a lot of people that are playwrights. You know, they've written plays or they've done something like that. But they're ready to go into doing maybe little short films or something. They're here in Houston. And the first thing people say is you got to move. You got to go somewhere.
Not anymore.
Right.
I don't think you eventually you will have to go there to get things going, but I think you want to show up in LA or New York with a product.
Right.
That people are already talking about, or get ready to start from the bottom and start, put your legwork in. If you go to LA and you're ready to do, but it would be easier probably if you work here. And writing writing films is hard. Writing anything is hard.
Right.
But I enjoy it. I mean, people always like, yeah, writing's hard, and it's like, yeah, it is. It's not a lot of glamour there at your typewriter by yourself. It's not a lot of fun. But you got to do the work,
and you have to have discipline doing that yourself, because you have to you have to have discipline. Turn off the TV or turn on the music or whatever, and get in your mode, and
you got to definitely do that, and you got to be disciplined, and you got to motivate yourself.
Yes.
And then you hit on it, and I never thought to bring it up. Music is so important to me writing, and it fills up space so you can think in another space.
Right.
But music to me is a big key to writing, and I have like when I think of my years at Saturday Night Live, I think of albums that got me years. Like there was a Lou Reed album, New York, which was my favorite writing album for at least 2 years. And it was just Lou Reed and just 2 guitars, bass and drum.
Yeah.
And it really put me in a zone. But and then also here's the tough part. Here's the 2 tough parts about writing. Rewriting, you gotta rewrite. Like especially when you get a movie. When you write a movie, it's 100 pages, and it's and then there's the pixie sticks game. If you pull one scene out, suddenly these 4 other scenes crumple.
Yes.
And so, that's the hardest thing, I think, is to go back and to rewrite. Like that, it's not a fun thing to know that when you're done with your 100-page screenplay, you're not done.
Right.
Wow, that's step 1. We got 5 more to go.
Right.
One of them. And so rewriting is a big key. I mean, and then also you got to move on to the next project. Like, and I always read writing books or anytime like writers talking about, but Stephen King, what he would do is he writes every day, and then he would finish a book, start a new one, and when he finished the second one, he would go back and rewrite the first book because it gave him lies. And also, he's a better writer by the time he's written another book. And that's the same thing with screenplays. You write one screenplay,
yes,
that's great. You rewrite it, then do your second one, and you're going to learn stuff during that second one just doing it. And then when you go back to that first one, you're going to see stuff and go, oh, this is what I could do here.
Absolutely.
And it's a long process, and it's just a lot of work. You got to do it. And if that's what you want to do, it's not really work.
And you haven't been able to, many times you can't go to the club. You can't go out. You have a deadline. You have a deadline.
Yeah, you have a deadline, and when you start, it's self-imposed.
Yes.
And
yes.
You can go out to the club, but then you got to do your work during the day.
Right.
You have to do your work.
You have to do your work. You have to do your work. You really do. You have to do it. And then, like you were saying, I love what you said about networking. You have to network with others because most of the jobs come by that. It's all in who you know.
It really is. It's like, hey, yeah. And then that helped me so much on my first show is that these guys could do gigs and they would go, hey, you should talk to this guy.
Right.
And that's such a big key. And it's part of it is you got to score when you do get your chance.
Yes.
Luck is opportunity meets preparation. So you got to be ready to go when it happens.
Now that's true. And investing in yourself. Many people don't want to invest in themselves.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta invest in yourself. And even if and that doesn't mean you have to wear a suit, but you should wear something that you're comfortable in that looks nice. That's the key.
That's the key. That's the key right there. Comfortable and look nice. And looking at it, and we were talking about just the career and all that you've done. And then now the great part about it, You don't have to always be on the big screen. I love the part about Amazon Prime, your Netflix, your Lifetimes, or whatever. How do we go from that? How do we get that part? How do we go there?
Well, this is the same thing that I experienced when I first started.
Yeah.
In the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, is cable was blowing up.
Yes.
So we got USA Network, you got Comedy Network, you got Country Music Network, you have all these different avenues now. And now you're getting them in streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
And they're blowing up, and it's like Netflix and Amazon. And then there's these other ones coming up too. And those are going to be the ones you want to try to hit or figure out how to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And that can, like, always be looking to where things are going, not where they are. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. What would you like to leave with the viewers, my friend?
I've got nothing. Hey, there's a painting of a bear. No, that's there's a painting of a bear in a sexy outfit.
Oh, and also his Emmy is back there. He is an Emmy Award-winning writer for Saturday Night Live. Just not a Saturday Night Live writer. Emmy Award-winning writer.
Yes. That is hilarious.
That's too funny. How can people get your books? Or they can't. Or they
my
can't.
website.
Your website. You got to get your website. They want to contact you. Tell us about your website.
I just started it, and it's just 2 pages, and I've been lazy and haven't done it.
That's okay. No worries, no worries. Mr. T. Sean Shannon, I appreciate you so much, buddy.
Please come out to the show next weekend.
Yes, let's talk about that. Your upcoming event is going to be at Phil and Derek's.
Yeah, great bar.
Yeah.
And I'm playing with Thea Vidal, who is another Houston comedian. Really funny lady. It's going to be a really good show. She is super funny. I'm funny. She's super funny at stand-up.
Yes.
She's incredible. And I would encourage people to come out to the show because it's going to be a really good show. And it's like the boot of COVID is off our neck now. So it's good to be out in a crowd again.
Absolutely. We're vaccinated, right?
Vaccinated. I got it.
So April 23rd and 24th of next week, that will be at Phil and Derek's. You will be live there. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Phil and Derek's. Yeah, at Comedy Lounge, Speak Easy, Thea Vidal, and T. Sean Shannon will be there.
Al D. Freeman. My buddy Al D. Freeman's going to be there too.
Yeah, Al D. Freeman. He is the host. Your buddy will be there. That's how we hooked up. Al D.
Yes.
That's how we hooked up.
He's a good man.
Good guy. Good guy. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Cam. I really appreciate it. So
Talk
good
to
seeing
you
you.
soon. God bless.
All right.
Hey, 12:30, 1:30 Central Standard Time, The Cam Hill Show. Talk to you. Bye.